What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to check out a bit of a serious video. At least I think it's serious. It's got a serious sounding title. What is happening to Japan? Now this one is from Oriental Pearl. She's a bit of an interesting character because she speaks both Chinese and... well, Mandarin Chinese and Japanese to a high level. She's studying Korean, so she is a fucking machine when it comes to languages, so I love to listen to what she's got to say. But she also covers off on societal topics, which is also something that I like to cover every now and then. Now, I've been to Japan once when I was younger, and I've made tons of videos about that experience because I managed to get myself lost in Tokyo. But I'm curious to see what the situation is there. What's happening behind the scenes that I'm not aware of?
Where do you think we are right now?
I'm gonna say you're probably in the back streets of Redfern, Sydney. That's literally what Redfern, Sydney looks like here. Trash everywhere, fucking disgusting graffiti, even the street design, you know, small, cramped, kind of messy, although it's gotten better in recent years. And that's because the main part of the city has expanded out and it's basically pushed out all the povos, and now it's a bit more of a reasonable area, but overall this looks like any back end in Sydney.
I'll give you a second. Graffiti all over the wall. Somebody illegally dumped their household trash here. This has been here for weeks.
That whole dumping thing is such a pain in the ass when you're building here in Sydney. So we built our house here, okay, in a new suburb that's being built up. And people from other suburbs, because they don't want to, you know, deal with their trash, they will come down here. They'll see a construction site, and they know the construction site will have builders who will basically bring in a big skip bin and fill it up. So they just dump their shit on your property. And because we haven't fully finished our property, like we haven't got the driveway in yet, they think there's no one living here. And I'll just go up the window and I'm like, hey! What you fuckers doing? As they're trying to dump trash on our property, and then they'll just like skedaddle, they'll go, you know, back into their cars and run away. I'm like, what the fuck, man? So every time I hear like a vehicle pull out the front, I gotta like stare out the window and make sure it's not someone trying to dump a bloody sofa on my front yard.
There's even graffiti on the abandoned house. This isn't London. It's not New York.
I love how she says, this isn't London, it's not New York, as if that is the expectation, okay? So we could add to that list, this is not Sydney. What do we got there? We got peace, free Palestine. Oh, come on, guys, at least do your graffiti in Japanese so we get some practice over here. Okay, anyway, you know, I never got this about graffiti. Like, I know graffiti's been going on since the dawn of time. Like, the Romans were drawing dicks on all sorts of shit, and that's how we can actually, like, age certain locations and stuff. But, like... I don't get the desire to do graffiti, okay? It's not like, to me, this is not like some type of special artwork or something. This is just like people badly drawing on the walls. Like, at least get good at it. Like, fucking hell.
This is actually Tokyo, Japan. As a person who has been living here for many years, I've seen a lot of changes, and I've gotten to the point where I really want to talk about this, so...
Ooh, it must have got worse recently.
Let's have a look around, and I'll tell you exactly what I mean.
Hey, anyone living in Tokyo, Japan, down in the comment section, let us know. Is it getting worse? Is it getting better? Overall, like, we're talking about general societal degradation, you know, let's forget that word exists, move on. Oh, finally, I see some Japanese on the actual street.
Now I understand things go out of business. It's tough to make it in Tokyo. This went out of business about 4 or 5 months ago, but look at what's happened since.
I swear to God, that's a doctor. Some doctor has just decided to, like, write up a prescription on the fucking walls right here. Like, what's the point of this? Like, if any of you guys, when you were younger, okay, tell me what mindset you were in if you were, like, a tagger, if you like doing this type of graffiti. Like, what's the point? Like, why? Obviously, you gotta go buy the paint, and then you gotta do a really bad signature on the wall that no one's ever going to care about. Like, what's the point? I really did not get that. Like, I know people do it, obviously, because we see it. But, like, what's the mindset that brings you to here to come paint on some wood a signature?
And in an upscale neighborhood.
Well, it ain't that upscale no more.
Yeah. All the way wrapped around. Now, some people will say graffiti is a form of art, but this is just drawing dicks on the wall.
I I knew that was coming. As soon as I saw it pointing at the dick, I was like, here we go, here we go. It's not even a good dick. Like, what is that? A dick with lips on it? What is it? I don't know.
Like, this is what things have come to. No pun intended.
Like, come on, guys. You gotta learn how to draw dicks. Okay, first up, a dick, it don't look like that. It's not fucking a little thing with, like, out the end here with two little lips on it, okay? That's not how they function. Okay, look, you gotta get in here. You gotta really get the nice shape. Okay, you gotta get that little bit of a bump in the end there. Like I did a lot of dick drawing when I was school. Okay, you gotta get the bags coming out here. Okay, like this and like this. By the way, if anyone's watching this on the family TV, you might want to skip past this section. And then like you gotta get some nice little hairs in there. And okay, now depending. Okay, we're assuming this one's been de-skinned, but you can add some. I don't know where I'm going with this. We shouldn't do this.
And we have to look at this every day. That was also not there.
Hey, by the way, I just did that on a fucking trackpad, okay? I drew that on a trackpad. That's how goddamn good I am. Now, imagine if you gave me pen and paper. I would be the Da Vinci of dicks, okay? I would draw that thing like a dick. That would be the most amazing dick you have ever seen in your life. It would be like God touched it.
A couple months ago, that one's new. This used to be completely white.
And yet I have no desire to draw one on a wall. None, because everyone else has already done that. That's not cool. Like, if you're gonna draw a dick on something, at least draw it on something that it hasn't been drawn on before.
Here we go. Here's some more illegally parked bikes. So in Japan, especially in big cities like Tokyo, you can't just park your bike anywhere, but there's a designated parking spot over there.
This is a really upsetting thing about Sydney, okay? So many years ago, we had all these companies come in. I think it was like 3 or 4 companies that came to Sydney. And most of Sydney is not bike friendly, okay? We're a car city. Australia is a car country. Anyway, they tried to bring in these like renter bikes. And they work great in those European countries where everyone, you know, they look after the bikes, they park them, blah, blah, blah. At least I assume that's what happens. Anyway, they brought them here. Guess what happened? People were launching these things up into the highest trees that they could get, off of fucking power lines, down into rivers. Basically, it became like a challenge for the youth here to see where was the most stupidest spot you could shove a bike. And it actually ended up with the council or the local government, one of the two, telling these bike companies that they had to clean up their shit and get out. Okay? Because they just assumed that people, when they finish with their bike, they'd put it on the side of the road, you know, unlock it for the next person to rent. Yep, they ended up in trees and shit.
It's full, so a lot of people are just dumping their bikes here, and it's not a good situation. Look at all this. All these bikes parked illegally here. And it's just, there's more and more every day.
Are these actual dump bikes as in no one wants them, or are these like just there's not enough room for them? I feel like this is probably not enough room. Like, no one's gonna dump those bikes. Some of them look pretty good. Actually, the fact that they've even left their bikes here and they're not locked up already shows that this is a better situation than Sydney. You leave your bike out in like the vast majority of Sydney on the street, you come back, that bike won't be there no more. It'd be gone skis.
Oh, that's an old car back there. All this is...
I need to take Oriental Pearl to my parents' home, man. Should just be like, what has happened here? Because they're in the countryside in Australia and everything's a mess out there. Like literally the other day we're walking here in Sydney, and this is a new suburb on the outskirts of Sydney, okay, but it used to be farmland. And you could see that the country bumpkins, which is basically our rednecks, were still out here because there was like these bushes that were just tall as, and my wife's like, that's really weird. And I'm like, no, they're just tires. And what's happened is the vines have grown up in them. Someone stacked up tires, grown up in them, and then like kind of fallen over. So you got like these mounds of random vines just coming out of the ground, but they're actually growing out of tires that have just been stacked there so long. And it happens with cars as well.
It's completely overgrown. Lots of stuff inside. As everybody knows, Japan is facing a population crisis. There's more old people now than young people, and a lot of houses are going abandoned after people pass away. And I thought this was one of those over 9 million abandoned houses in the country. In fact, there's a lot in this neighborhood, but this one actually saw someone is still living here, an elderly woman. And that's a problem. A lot of older people here, they can't take care of their houses anymore. They don't have families to help. So this is what happens.
Yeah, this is a kind of a scary situation when you think about it, okay? So society's gotten to the point. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, okay, let me finish my original thought. So society's gotten to the point where we're basically now in a population collapse in most developed countries. And the only thing that's like, holding up countries like Australia, the US, is either religion or mass immigration. But when you get to Asian countries, they generally don't allow mass immigration, especially not with China, okay? So what we've got is these countries that were built for a population that never came. And now you're going to have a massive, basically, collapse in infrastructure as there's no one to maintain most of this shit. And what you're going to end up is in this kind of like weird world where like everything starts to become half overgrown because there's no one to maintain it anymore. Now, I know some people would say, oh, that's great, the nature's coming back in and all that type of stuff. Yeah, but at the same time, when you think about it, it also means that everything is going to go up because the things that do remain, it's just like it's going to become more and more costly. Basically, a lot of these places can only exist due to scale. But it's going to be weird. We're gonna see in like 50 years like massive portions of just cities that are just overgrown because there's just no one there anymore. It'll be amazing if you are a youth and you're just exploring it. Although stay away from mold indoors.
This is all new graffiti. This is all new graffiti. It was not here before. Here we are in Shibuya now, and of course you're very familiar with the Shibuya crosswalk, which is right ahead of us. But what you're less familiar with is
I don't know this crosswalk, but the first thing I just thought was the Resident Evil movie where like, what is it, the main chick, the protagonist in that movie, she's crossing a place like this and then suddenly one of the Japanese girls goes, so I'm just thinking Resident Evil right now.
This is what I want to check out today. This used to be one of the worst spots for it, but now this beautiful mural has been painted here, which is great. This is actually looking pretty good now that they've got the graffiti gone and a nice beautiful piece of artwork has been painted here. Although this is kind of what it looked like before, that kind of graffiti. The price that they had to pay to keep this area looking nice, keep that tunnel from being vandalized, is there's usually security watching around here. I don't see them today, but...
Oh, that's one thing in China, okay? So they've got Shaotu, which are like these little community districts. And it's an interesting design where you've got all the houses inside like kind of like a gated community with a security guard out the front of it. And then all the shops are around that. And then there's more of these like little communities. But there's security everywhere, so you don't see this too much.
Oh no, there he is. So the price they had to pay to keep this area from getting vandalized is there's a 24-hour security guard right behind me.
How insane is that? We literally have to pay someone to stand there so that people won't freaking tag shit.
And that's the only way to stop people from messing this up again, because it was like that for years, and it's just nice to see something like that. But I mean, obviously they can't put security around the whole country. Here is the city trying to fight back. It's even written in English and Japanese.
Was it written in English? Why does that have to be in... Oh, there must be a lot of bad foreigners there causing issues.
Graffiti is illegal. Apparently, there's a 5-year prison sentence or up to 500,000 yen, 500,000...
Look at that, with a probability of 99% or more being prosecuted. Jesus, I do remember hearing about this somewhere, that Japan, they don't prosecute unless they know it's basically a win. So if you're getting prosecuted, you're basically screwed. So... That's just totally different to here in Australia, where you would just get a slap on the wrist. 1,000
yen is about $5,000. They're not joking about this. Yet still, right next to the graffiti sign, I see more graffiti.
What the?
The graffiti sign, I see.
What is that? Is that a signature? Is that a... What the hell is that? You know what? In Australia, when I was growing up, we had this, like, weird-ass cartoon, okay? And the way this cartoon would work is a kid would give, like, a random scribble to this puppet that existed on the TV show, okay? If anyone ever remembers the name of this cartoon, please let me know. And the way that it would work is that this puppet, which was hanging upside down, controlled by an artist outside the scene, he would look at the random scribble and then he would turn it into something beautiful. So like this here, like if I was that artist, I'd say, yeah, this is like a caterpillar, okay? And that's his little body, and maybe he's coming out of his cocoon, which was like this shape type of thing, and like these are his legs. So yeah, I could be that great artist from the cartoon show. So yeah, there we go. Now this is looking a little bit better, and that's his eye right there. And then what we're gonna have is a great big hawk that's gonna like fly down here. It's gonna have its legs come out and it's gonna like freaking attack and kill this freaking caterpillar. And the caterpillar, you know, he's a sad life. It was difficult. He got to this point. Why is it coming out the cocoon as a caterpillar? That means you failed to become a butterfly, my man. You are the worst goddamn caterpillar ever.
More graffiti. Okay, I've seen that YouTuber. That was a foreigner that put that there. I know.
Ooh, what's his name? Let me.
That YouTuber. I know that YouTuber.
Oh, Oriental Pearl, get your stick. Go to him. Give him that stick. What is that? Derage TV. I'm guessing that's a Shaw or your TV.
So in this case, it is some foreigners that are putting the stickers on everything. Graffiti, again, next to Louis Vuitton. And then coming over here, every pole, everything, every little box, vending machines have graffiti on it. This was covered up. This one here says, Bunka wo taisetsu ni. Japan is a culture, respect Japanese culture.
Oh, that's nice. You know, it is interesting watching this video because obviously we have a perspective here in Australia that Japan is this hyper clean country where everyone communally works together to keep everything clean, and this is not that.
Oh my gosh, a telephone box. Yeah. Oh my gosh, what is this?
I would not walk into that. You walk into that in Australia, you're gonna get stabbed by like 13 needles.
You'll still find some telephone boxes in Tokyo and across Japan. It's kind of a relic of the past, but they're still usable. A lot of them are vandalized. This is something else.
Yeah, so we got the payphones still here in Sydney, but basically the way it works is they're free now. And when they break down, they're just not replaced anymore. So basically, it's a slowly disappearing phenomenon. I think when, like, in the last subway bowl I was in, there was 3 of them, actually, that was still serviceable. And, like, I'd never seen anyone use them because everyone's got mobiles nowadays. But one day I got off the train and I saw some drunk yelling at it. He's like, "Oh, why you come pick me up?" I was like, holy shit, there is actually still people who use them.
What the heck? Oh my gosh, does it work? It actually works. I come here pretty much on a daily basis. I have multiple language classes to take, and the graffiti just seems to be getting worse.
I'm waiting for the Esperanto graffiti. I have not seen any Esperanto graffiti so far. You Esperantists in Tokyo have failed me.
I've seen this over the last few years, especially around Corona, after Corona. The city keeps coming.
Wait, after Corona? Wow, that just blew my mind. I've never heard someone say Corona before. We always just say COVID here. Whoa, okay. Like, I now know what she's talking about. It took me like a couple of seconds to understand what was being said then.
In, covering up, painting it, and then it comes right back. Check this out. This is right by my Chinese school. I have to see this every freaking day. Whoa.
You know you're getting old when you start complaining about graffiti. That's pretty much it. It's like, when you start looking at this stuff and going, they're fucking ruining the neighborhood, you know you've gotten old. Because when I was younger, I just walked past this shit, it wouldn't bother me at all. But I'm kind of at the same state as her now, where I walk past them like, fucking kids these days. You know? Which is just an indication I've gotten old.
The city actually did come and repaint this whole bridge because it looked like that green wall before. But as you see, It's already back. That's a new one. That's a new one. All this. That's one of the guys that lives here in this park. I just saw him in there. And it's sad. There's a lot of elderly, homeless people in Japan, and an alarming number of young homeless, which was not very common in the past.
It's actually kind of crazy that there's old homeless there, because their population is declining, yet they've still got all the old houses everywhere. So maybe they've just gotten to the age where they're basically senile now, and they just kind of wander out on the street and become homeless. I don't know.
Welcome to Shinjuku Station. We're now here in the biggest station in Japan. This is one of the places tourists come to visit for their first time in Tokyo. It's a hot spot, but it's also one of the darkest places in Japan. And it's gotten darker in the last 5 years, especially on the Kabukicho side, on the east end. So as it's starting to get darker outside, some of this stuff comes out. Shinjuku Station by day is pretty busy, but you're not going to see anything out of the ordinary. However, when it gets late at night, it's a completely different story. And there's just person after person, box after box, lined up here.
This looks like Sydney, yeah. We've got this same thing in the city. Every now and then they all disappear, and that's just the police coming and clear them out. But then they're back in like a month or so. Although we had one park right next to Central Station here in Sydney where it was so bad you walk through, you get bottled. And they've completely cleaned out that place for a number of years now. It's actually quite a nice park. Don't know where they've sent them, but obviously they've gone somewhere.
And that's just something you're not going to see if you're just walking around during the day. But there's more and more. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen people set up cardboard boxes late at night, coming back from, you know, a night out with my friends around 11:30, closer to midnight. And then,
you know, I've thought about this before, what I would do if I was in this situation. Let's say something went bad. I don't know, you know, maybe I lost all my properties or whatever, you know. What I would do, and I watch some of these YouTube channels, okay? There is channels of basically homeless, they say like homeless but happy, you know, blah, blah, blah. And what they do is they actually travel around. They walk from location to location. They're homeless. Most of them got like a dog because that's what brings all the clicks in. And they survive off the YouTube money. And they have tents and stuff, but they generally go out to the countryside because at least, you know, it's more quieter out there. It's a better life overall. You're not like this here where you got constant noise. That's what I would do if I was in this situation. But from my understanding of, you know, most of the homeless that are here in Sydney, they're just mentally unstable. So obviously they're not thinking about this from a logical perspective.
there's lots of videos of this online, but it's not something you're just going to see in the daylight hours or even in the early evening.
This actually reminds me of one thing. I remember when I was in China, there is homeless there, is okay. But because everything is done via phone, like all purchases, the homeless guy literally had the WeChat fucking, what do you call it, QR code printed on his chest so you could just walk past and donate money to him because no one's carrying cash around.
But it makes me sad to see, for sure, but it's there.
That's interesting how they've all boxed off their, like, look at that, okay? They've all boxed off their homes. Like, we don't see that here in Sydney. They just kind of, well, they box off a little bit with, like, umbrellas and stuff, but these guys have got, like, a plan to it. Well, they've all got the boxes and stuff.
And here's a lot of the homeless people's stuff waiting here for when they come back. There was a point around the 2020 Tokyo Olympics where they cleaned this up quite nicely, you know, getting ready for all the international guests. It's pretty much back to how it was before and even worse.
Oh man, I bet there's some good fucking food on that street. I'm just looking at that now. I'm suddenly hungry.
This is Toyoko Hiroba, and it's all closed off because they want to stop people from loitering in here. And so far, it's worked in this area alone, but right back there, next to it, they have all those people that just moved. don't think there's much the security can do about it because this is not private property, but they definitely don't like it, and this has become more and more famous across Japan. Right after the pandemic, a lot of runaways from all across the country, even really young kids, middle school and high school age, came and gathered here at Toyoko Hiroba. So there were the Toyoko kids, the runaways from Japan, all across the country that came to Shinjuku. They'd stay.
I don't know about all this. If you guys know about this, let us know why there's suddenly if it is sudden, a increase in runaways. Is there something societal that's happening?
In the manga cafes, they'd work, you know, not legal jobs during the daytime, but you don't see them so much anymore because it became so famous in Japan that the police had to get involved and put a stop to it. And the same goes for this Okubo Byoin right here behind me. This was insane, and I had never seen anything like this in Japan before. Not only the professional ladies of the night standing out here, but also the amateurs. And it was becoming more and more common just to see girls standing here like, you know what, I don't need to say more. Look, now they have some signs telling people not to stand here. This was so embarrassing to Japan publicly on the internet. Japanese people from other prefectures felt embarrassed. Tokyo locals felt embarrassed to see this online. It was on Japanese internet, it was on the foreign internet, it was everywhere. So now
I'd never heard of any of this. It's new to me.
They have all these cones to prevent people from doing that, at least not here. But when I came here and I saw that stuff like at the Okubo Byoin, the standing girl problem, and the Toyoko kids out there, the young kids that ran away from home, I was just sad. And it wasn't like that before. They didn't have that problem before. And even though I don't see it right now, it doesn't mean it went away. They went somewhere, they're just not visible. The police shoot them away. But these things still exist in Japan, and it seems to be getting worse as there's more problems with the economy.
That's an interesting thing, because like here in Sydney, well, in like New South Wales, the state I'm in, prostitution's legal, okay, so this is not an issue. And they don't have them standing on the street. Like, I've never seen any girls, maybe they do. Maybe I'm not going to the right suburbs, okay, but like, you don't see girls standing on the street, but basically selling themselves. There's brothels. You just go to, there's like a brothel in every goddamn suburb, basically, and you just go there. And I think, why would that be? Why would they not be standing on the streets? I think it's probably just, culturally, it's not really acceptable for that type of thing. At least, that's what I think. Maybe there is suburbs where they do it. Maybe I'm just oblivious to it, but I've never noticed it.
Oh, this is a warning. Illegal dumping.
Why would you put a warning on the bag? The person's not coming back. What a goddamn waste of your time.
All of this is illegal dumping. I don't know where it came from. I don't know who's gonna clean that up. Maybe the city? I don't know who dumped it.
It'll probably be the shop that's closest to it, because I'll get sick of just seeing it.
There either. When I did a short video the other day about the changes I've seen in Japan, the comment section was wild, and I did not expect that. Everyone had something to say about who done it. You know,
it's really interesting is like the quality of this video seems to be low for some reason. Why is it so low? Why is it not at that? This whole time I've been watching at the wrong rate. Sorry guys.
a lot of finger pointing. It was this group, it was definitely them, it was whatever. We don't know who did the graffiti. It's not like I'm saying graffiti is a new thing, it's never existed in Japan. But
okay, let me help you. I think I know who's doing the graffiti. You see this boy? He looks suspicious as fuck. You should get him. I reckon he's the tagger. That guy, he's pushing a pram with his like wife type of thing, so he's probably not a tagger, but I reckon he has got a pretty crazy background. Look at this bald white guy. That guy, total tagger. Instant one. Yeah, tagger, notice tagger.
What I'm saying is I see changes over the years, and there's places where there's more graffiti than I've ever seen before. There's trash where there wasn't trash before.
That baby's suspicious as fuck, guys. Look at him. He's staring at the camera like she's got me.
There's this Toyoko kids problem. There was a standing girl problem. Lots of stuff going on, and it's almost like people also got. There were also people that got mad. You know, I can't believe it. This is not Japan. You're not showing the real Japan. There's too much over romanticization about Japan. I love this country.
This is so common with most countries. Like, I remember before we went to France, my wife had like a highly romanticized image of France from her youth, basically, of watching, you know, romance movies about France and all this type of stuff. And then we went to France, we went to Paris, smelt like shit. There was cops walking around with goddamn submachine guns. It was a shithole overall. And she's like, this is not the France I know or the Paris I know. So it was like, everyone's got a romanticized image of another country, and a big one I've seen now online is people having a romanticized image of China. Especially, like, if we talk about politics, okay, a lot of people on the left-hand side of politics, they love to romanticize, you know, China's managed to do this, China's managed to do that. You go there, you speak the language, you realize there's a lot of shit that's just hidden from view.
I love living here, and me and my husband see things, especially in the areas we live in, that upset us. It upsets Japanese people. It upsets people that live here as permanent residents like me. It's not.
There's only one way to deal with this, and the way you deal with it is you crack down hard on it. So you either deal with it or you deal with pretty harsh rules and laws around this stuff.
Good. Hope that by making this video, someone with some authority or power will clean up the graffiti, you know, as I showed in a few places, that this will become, you know, more prominent. People will know about this, just like the Okubo Hospital problem and the Toyoko kids. Like, the more we talk about this, the more likely that we'll see some changes. Somebody will do something about it in the government.
Okay, I understand the purpose of the video now. She's trying to get the government interested because she does have a massive following.
So if you want to see more of the real, you know, non-sugar-coated version of Japan, then I hope you'll subscribe and watch more of my videos, because I love this country and I want people to come here. I want people to enjoy it, but I don't want them to have unrealistic expectations or some rose-colored glass view of what Japan is that doesn't match up with reality. I also want to show what it's like to live here as a foreigner and a little more of my daily life. So give me a like, and I hope you enjoy more of my videos. There's a whole playlist about the darker side of Japan. If you want to check that out, we're raising money for homelessness, especially here in Shinjuku, and each view helps, and also each donation helps.
Okay, it was an interesting video, but overall I'm looking at this and going, this is pretty much every large city and any freaking democracy that I can think of. They've all gone to shit like this. Or they were always gone to shit, you know, and maybe we just got, what do you call it, like nostalgic ideas of what things used to be like in the past, when realistically our parents were probably hiding all this shit from us. But yeah, nah, like I remember like my dad telling me a story before I moved to Sydney. He was like, oh, don't move to Sydney. I got stabbed there. And your granddad got stabbed there too. And I was like, yeah, but Dad, you were in the gangs. You were stabbing other people. And he's like, yeah, well, still, you'll get stabbed. Don't go to King's Cross. King's Cross is like this location in Sydney, which is like historically well known for the gangs and the brutal violence and shit. Nowadays, it's the most boring, fucking mundane location in Sydney because everything got shut down by the government. They basically, what we happened about 10 years ago is, or maybe a bit more than that, is like people were punching other people randomly in the back of the head and literally just killing them. So they brought out like all these laws to clamp down on alcohol. At least this is what they said they did. But realistically, I think it was to drive people off to the casinos because the casinos were like the only places with proper security. And as a result, they killed the entire nightlife of basically central Sydney. So yeah, it's pretty dead, really, if you go down to the center of the city, although it's starting to like come back a little bit now. Anyway, yeah, interesting video. What do you guys reckon? Like, is this the same situation where you guys are? Let me know in the comments the city and how good or bad it's gotten. And I'll see you all in the next video. And if you're not there, I will tag up your house with a Da Vinci of a penis. And if you don't have a house, you're getting tattooed.